Welcome to the Sales Dojo podcast. The podcasts are here to help you address the real issues salespeople face every single day.
Welcome to the Sales Dojo podcast. The podcast is here to help real salespeople with real issues they face every single day. We want to try and help you close more sales, hit more targets, get paid more commission, and most importantly, buy those new shoes. As you know, my name is Leon McCowan. Chris Dawson is sagging today. He's really busy, so he's not with us. But in order to replace Chris's brilliance, I've got someone even better, and that is Sabir Semerkant. Sabir is the founder of Growth by Sabir and the creator of the Rapid 2X protocol. It's a proven e-commerce growth system that has generated over $1 billion in incremental revenue for 200 plus e-com brands. A former early partner of VaynerMedia, where he helped launch Vayner Commerce, Sabir now mentors e-com founders through his structured 8-sprint framework, which is endorsed by none other than Gary Vaynerchuk, Neil Patel, and Matt Higgins. I feel like I should bow now, Sabir, now that I've got you on. That's quite the intro.
It's all good. It's great to be here, Leon.
Oh, look, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. As is always the case with our guests, we've seen some cool stuff you've posted on social media, so we've reached out and we really do appreciate you taking time to join us. Before we crack on with our questions, which we ask everybody, if someone wants to find out some more about you, someone wants to find out some more about Growth by Sabir, the Rapid 2X protocol, where can they do that?
We have actually set up a very special link just for this podcast. It's growthbysabir.com/salesdojo. So they can just put that in. We can put it in the show notes and podcast description. If they go there, they will, because they are loyal listeners of the podcast, we will give them something special.
That's amazing. Thanks very much, Sabir. Really appreciate that. I'll make sure it's on the notes and we'll share it on our socials as well. So if you are driving, listen to this. Don't do anything with your hands. Just drive, get to where you want to get to, and then you can find that link a little bit later on. Sabir, the first question we ask everyone when they come on the podcast is pretty straightforward. Can you remember the first time you closed a sale? And can you remember what you bought with your first bonus, mate?
That's an excellent question, man. So I think I was about 12 years old, my uncle used to run. I mean, he passed away. My uncle Azim, he had a electronics / watch and Game Boy type store. You know, now I'm going to give you the timing. This is Donkey Kong era, not with the double screen. So this is not PlayStation era. So I'm much older, you know. So he needed some help. So my elder brother went and helped him. And I went like, why can't I go? Right? Why is he going? Right? He's like a year and a half older than me. Right? So I was 12 and he was probably 13 and a half, something like that, or 14 maybe. So my uncle goes like, okay, you can come too. Right? So I went there. He explained to me how to, and mind you, this is not United States where everything has a price tag and whatever it says on the price tag, you purchase. As a seller in those countries, you know, outside of United States, pretty much every country outside of United States, you negotiate price. And all these older people were negotiating with me, trying to buy watches and Donkey Kong and rings and stuff like that we were selling in that store for my uncle's store, right? So I remember the very first watch that I sold. I did not know, right? You know how you have to close. I did not know that you would it went like, okay, I'll buy it. Is the person said? I was like, you want to buy it? Like, are we done? That's it, you know? And then I brought it over to my uncle. I said he wants to buy this watch, and it was an expensive watch actually. So I actually, that was my very first sale that I had done, right? And that was my very first sale. It was not a lemonade stand. I never had a lemonade stand. I did not trade cards like Gary Vee does, even to this day. He does baseball cards and other types of cards. I didn't do that. It was literally retail. It was my very first experience, and I think that I just got better at it, better at selling, better at negotiating and negotiating price at least, And one of the things that this was one of the first lessons I had also learned, people are willing to pay whatever they are willing to pay, right? And you could sell anything for any price as long as the buyer can bear it and they're willing to pay for it, right? So there is no hard number that you think. It's all in your head. It's your psychology. It's all in your head as a seller, thinking that, oh, they won't pay more than that. So I've had that. That was my very first story. I've never shared that story, by the way,
Oh, I'm
ever.
glad. I'm glad
This
it's the
is
first time.
this is a premiere of this story on this podcast for the first time. Your question actually was excellent. It reminded me of that, right? So that was the first part of it. Like that's what I learned, and and I was as a kid, when you earn anything, you're very happy, right? So I earned my over there. They used to pay a monthly wage, right? I used to work part time, but there was a wage associated with it. So I got my very first paycheck from there, and the very first thing I did as a 12-year-old was I was eyeing these jeans and a shirt that I really liked. Right, uh, my parents used to buy me clothes. Mostly was school uniform and shoes and food and everything else. I didn't need anything else, but this one was something special. Like jeans was something that I didn't have, and I really appreciated that. So on my way back home from work, I stopped by that store and I actually bought myself my first pair of jeans with my own money that I had earned.
I love that. I can hear and feel the pride of you being able to afford that stuff. And one of the reasons why I love doing sales dojo related stuff is like, as I said at the start, the tagline is buy those new shoes. And, that came about from a couple of reasons. One, it is sales is the thing that lets you do the things that you want to do if you can get good at it. And two, genuinely, my story around the first thing I ever bought when I bought stuff with a bonus from doing sales was a pair of Brogue shoes, because I used to walk from the station to the place where I worked when I was 15, and there was a really nice pair of shoes in the window, and I used to walk past every day thinking one day I'll get them shoes. And then when I got the money from a bonus to be able to afford them, I remember the elation, I remember the pride, I remember the fact that I wanted to go and see everyone I ever knew and show them my new shoes and get them to ask me how I afforded them so I could tell them about sales. So I love that, Sabir, and I can feel exactly what you're saying. I always
Leon,
oh,
Leon, I'm sorry to interrupt.
no, you do.
There's a excellent lesson in this for everybody who's listening, right? Every entrepreneur out there, every salesperson out there, right? Set a goal. Set a goal to say, you know what? When I achieve this goal, whatever that number is, $50,000 this week in sales and closings, $1 million this year, right? When I do that, I'm going to reward myself this thing, right? It could be audacious, ridiculous goal like Gary Vee saying that I want to buy the Jets, right? Or it could be me when I started this Rapid 2X program, I said when I had X number of Rapid 2Xers, ecom brands that are part of my program, I'm going to go buy myself a Mazda MX-5, which is a Miata.
Nice.
It's a small car. Never had it before. I have no interest in cars, zero, literally zero. The only reason that car is right now sitting in my garage, and I do drive it purely out of leisure, right? And it always reminds me that I finished these many brands, and that's a physical symbol showing me that I did achieve that. And the next one is another goal, right? When I achieve that goal, that's going to be the thing. You could do something, don't make it attainable, right? A lot of people fool themselves, go like, if I get, maybe 10% more. No, make it ridiculous. How about 7,500% more, right? Make it a ridiculous goal. When I achieve that, I'm going to go get this thing. And that thing could be completely meaningless. It doesn't have to be. That's not the point of it, right? The point is that goal, and that goal is going to trigger that prize, basically.
Yeah, I love that. It is a great lesson. I think it's really important. One of the things I do myself now is if I get to a number of completing a month, I take the next day off and I go and spend the day on my allotment. So whichever day in the month that I've managed to hit that number, I take the next day off. I don't do any work. I don't take my phone with me, and I spend time digging weeds and curating my plants and watering and stuff like that, because I know that that's something I'll really enjoy and take real joy in. There's a few things I want to dig in to, Sabir, if you don't mind.
Sure,
You
go ahead.
mentioned you're now in the US, but in many other countries, negotiation and bartering is really much part of the process. We're in the UK here, and I always feel very similar to the US that we don't do that very well. Whereas it's very much part of a culture thing in other countries. In the UK, it's also very much, more transactional. And I always do feel like, especially, I think you've mentioned Turkey, and I've been to Turkey a few times and done a lot of bartering. I always feel like you're at an advantage when you're from one of them countries, because this kind of thing is already in your muscle memory. It's not a shock when someone asks for more or less or cheaper or extra value and stuff like that. Do you think that you've had an advantage from coming from that kind of culture, being able to do that from an early age?
The thing is, I was so lucky that my late father, he used to travel a lot. He was also a business owner, right? So I got to experience quite a lot from him. My uncles were also in their own businesses. That's why I said that I worked at my uncle's store, right? I think that when you have to experience other cultures, other cultures provide so much different types of view of how you look at business, right? Business is not one clear cut thing. It's not, right? How you conduct business in Japan, and I have conducted business in Japan. I have done it in China. Different parts of China operate business very differently. And that's China. You cannot just say, "Oh, we work in China." No, what part of China do you work in? Because every part of China is different, right? When you talk about the United States, right? The way a New Yorker negotiates contracts or sells or whatever is very different than California, than Texas. Don't generalize. Don't generalize any of those things. And if you have a chance, especially, this message would be, I would say, for young people, but I've seen people who are in their 50s and 60s and 70s. They're traveling and they're expats in other countries, and they're learning and they're restarting. So if you have the opportunity, go, and especially if you're in like college or out of college or whatever, right? Take the time, go over to Vietnam, go to Thailand, go to Dubai, right? Go to Turkey, right? Go to Brazil and other places, wherever that's safe, basically. So go there and learn from that culture, not just the language. Food is going to be different, music is going to be different, how people talk to each other is going to be different, how you trade is going to be different, how you buy, how do you sell, right? If you don't negotiate in certain cultures, it's a clear indication that you're not from there.
Yeah.
You go like, how did they know we're tourists? Yeah, you didn't negotiate, that's why. Like when somebody says to me, it's going to be $10 or €10, no, it's $5. How about that? Let's start from there, right? Let's start from there, and we'll get to where we think mutually to make us both unhappy, right? I'm a little unhappy that I didn't get my deal. You're unhappy you didn't make enough profit. That's fine.
Yeah, one of my favorite scenes in a film is a film called Monty Python's Life of Brian. I don't know if you've seen the film.
I've seen Monty Python, but I don't know. Is that the only movie?
No, they've got about 5 or 6 movies. One of them's called
Okay,
The
I
Life
may
of
have seen
Brian.
one of them.
It's kind of a skit on the Jesus story in Catholic religion. So anyone who's listening who's offended by that, I do apologize. That's not the point of the conversation. But in part of it, he wants to buy a gourd, so he goes to a market and he says, "How much is the gourd?" And he says 17 denarii, and he says, "Okay." And he goes, "No, no, that's not how it works. You have to start at like 12 and we'll meet somewhere in the middle." And he goes, "No, I just want to buy it." And he says, "No, you have to do it." And he gets a big guy to come over and tell him he can't buy it because he's not prepared to barter. And I love that scene. Uh, it always makes me smile. The other question that came up, Sabir, when you were talking about this whole negotiation thing is, and one that I'm not aware of, when you're pricing products in an area where negotiation and bartering and having discussions on something is going to happen, is there a number that you'd use to mark up and stuff like that? Is it a guide, or is it just really random?
Markup is one of the worst things you could do to your business, because then you're going to be slave to that number, right? Let's say, oh, our target margin is 50%. Okay. Tariff happened. During COVID, container prices went up, had nothing to do with your product. The ingredients you use or the parts you use from this one key ingredient, one key part, that got jacked up, right? So what happens to that 50% overnight? As soon as it's announced to you, that 50 is going to go down to like 38%.
Yeah.
Right? What was maybe profitable is absolutely, yeah, now you're on razor thin margins because you have an operating cost to your business, right? An overhead that you have no control over, right? You have payroll, you have building, you have utilities to pay, you have internet bill to pay, stuff like that, right? Those are hard costs for every business has it. Might be 25, 28%. And now if your margin went from 50 down to 38, you have 10% left, 10 points left. That's not going to even fund even part of that meta ads that you're running to sell that product, right? So the answer to that is no. I know that the market dictates that, but that's the other theory, right? Market dictates the price. Yeah, look at Apple, right? They did not sell an MP3 player. They sold 1,000 songs in your pocket.
Yes.
And everybody freaking lined up when MP3 players were selling for 25, 30 bucks, right? In different markets, right? Like that was the price for it. They came out, go like, no, ours is 300 bucks, right? What makes it special? Oh, it fits into your pocket. Look at how sleek this is. And they talked all about the design, right? And everybody lined up to buy that $300 MP3 player at that time, you know? So the thing is, market dictates commodity prices, right? A bag of rice costs this much. Okay, so if you double the price, you better explain how organic or how the fairies came and put fairy dust on it, so that's why your rice is better, right? So unless you have a story like that, your rice is going to be dictated by the market. But other than that, for most people, e-com businesses, when you're making your own product, there's a reason you made the product, you have a patent on it, you're proud of it. You could go on Shark Tank or Dragon's Den, right, in the UK, and go up there and go like, we have design patent on this, nobody does this, competition, blah 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 blah, and yet your price is 10% lower than any other cheapest knockoff on Amazon. Why is that cheaper than that? Like, you just told me there are these three features that are incredible. In fact, so good that you unlocked a patent on this, and US patent office gave you a patent on this design, on this invention, right? And yet you are 10% cheaper. You know what that dictates to, what it signals to the consumer when it's 10% cheaper? Maybe it's not good enough. Maybe this thing breaks. Let me look at the reviews, and then a whole series of doubts start when your price is lower. I've had brands over my 25-year career. I've had over 200 brands that I've helped, right? And in the bio, you mentioned the $1 billion incremental sales, right? In revenue. I can tell you so many times I said increase the price. You know what the ecom founders' heart started beating like this? What do you mean? Everybody tells me to give a freaking coupon out, and you're telling me no. I need you to shut down all of the coupons, and I need you to increase the price. Like, I'm gonna lose customers. Yeah, you're gonna lose the cheapos
Yeah.
who are there for the price. I would rather sell to somebody who cares about this product, and they keep on coming back and give me a lifetime value of $837 over a year, right? I don't want somebody who comes in one hit wonder. They come in and you bought that traffic. You bought that traffic. You bought that transaction through meta ads, and you're very proud of that ROAS that your ad agency told you that it was so great, right? Bunch of garbage, right? If that person comes in and buys from you once, and you're buying that BS that the agency tells you, a marketing agency, oh, you know what? We acquired the customer for you. This is a customer acquisition cost. You get to sell them again. Yeah, but you got me a shit customer that never bought. In fact, most most Shopify businesses, every Shopify business, Magento, WooCommerce can run this test. Look at your customers and number of transactions that they have. Build that chart, right? More than 72% on average of your customers have only one transaction. I call them in Rapid 2X one hit wonders.
Yeah.
right? Like those songs like Macarena and Mambo Number Five, right? These customers sang to you only once. They gave you that $60 and they were out. And it cost you $85 as customer acquisition cost because you bought the BS that the marketing agency told you. Oh, it was a customer acquisition cost. You're gonna get to convert them. Never happens, right? Less than, that I'm being kind with the average number of 72%. I've had some brands in my program, they're north of 90% with one
Jesus.
hit wonders. It's completely a transactional business. If they stop paying Meta ads, their business shuts down.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. Um, there's
By the
one
way,
last.
that's a lot of coffee. That's a lot
Yeah.
of coffee. That's it's good. You got me going there, Leon.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I remember the Donkey Kong and the Game Boy, so that was a lovely nostalgic moment for me there. Shout out to Uncle Azim who got you in his store when he was 12. One final question on that. You said that you bought some jeans and a top.
Yep.
Can you remember what they look like?
It was blue jeans. It was just regular,
Just
like a
standard
Lee or
denims, yeah.
Levi's jeans, denim jeans. It was a nice one. Before that, I used to have primarily like school uniform, like a white
Yeah,
shirt with khaki pants, something like that. If you in the UK, I think you have the same thing. You're right.
yeah,
You wear white and blue or white and black or something like that, right?
yeah.
So that's primarily what I had, and maybe I had a few other party clothes and stuff like that, but not jeans. So to me, that jeans, it's not like I cared about the jeans. It was like I was buying this thing with my own money. It was not an allowance. It was not a birthday gift. It was my money that I had earned, and I wanted to spend it. And
It's
right now I see my kids. My kids, I mean, I call them kids, but they are adults. I have 26-year-old twins, boy and a girl. And each one of them, when they had that first paycheck, I asked them, I asked them the same question. I go like, what is the first thing you're gonna buy, right? And my daughter went for food. She loves food, so food and certain clothes, right? That she was looking for, so she bought that. And my son did a similar kind of thing, right? I mean, to them, it's always a very special feeling when you earn your thing and then you are the one who's spending it. It's not like it's given to you, there's a sense of pride.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's why we put that question at the start, because you get some really good responses, but you get some light in people's faces when they're talking about the pride of being able to afford their own thing. And it's why being in business or being in sales roles which is similar. I always say that if you're in a sales role, then you're running your own business, which is a sales business. We talked a little bit about what you're doing now, but I want you to share some more, Sabir, if that's okay. So can you maybe tell us a story about how you've helped someone recently through the kind of work that you're doing now?
So in my program, it's called the Rapid 2X. So the protocol is a published framework, right? And the protocol goes through 8 different sprints, because e-commerce business, you cannot e-commerce D2C business, you cannot just because there's a lot of YouTube videos and misinformation out there. When you get your Shopify store, what's the first thing that's recommended for you to get? A Meta Ads account, and a lot of businesses, a lot of founders get stuck in that wheel, that they think that, oh, you know what, got to put my money down, run my ads, I'm gonna get the sales, and that's how I'm gonna run a business. You're not running a business. All you're doing is you're just running purely a transactional thing. You're not really running a business where there is a lifetime value. And if you were to stop that Meta Ads machine, would you continue having revenue come into your business? Right? Then it becomes a business, not when you're buying transactions. Especially for most of those brands, they're overspending on ads, thinking that eventually it will work out. I don't operate on a hoping and praying, right? There's a place for church and mosque and synagogue, right? Not in e-commerce, not in business, right? You need to plan, you need to strategize, and then you need to execute and assume that you're wrong. Let's start from there. Assume you're wrong and you're trying to get to right? And not because if you think that you're starting out, we go like, oh, this is my idea, it should work, right? What happens? A lot of ego is in play. And when your ego is in play, you're gonna start writing checks that the bank is not gonna cash.
Yeah.
It's not. It's gonna be not good. So in this program, I used to be known, and like folks like Gary Vaynerchuk, Matt Higgins is one of the recurring sharks on Shark Tank. That's the American show with Damon John and all of these guys, with Kevin, Mr. Wonderful, and all of these guys, right? It's similar to Dragon's Den in the UK, right? So folks like that, venture capitalists, angel investors, private equity, those are the guys that knew me behind the scenes, that I was the guy to go to if they want to. Like I even helped with the startup of Jim Cramer from CNBC, right? The Mad Money, buy, buy,
Yeah.
buy. That guy. His startup was it still is thestreet.com. So I was one of the founding members that back then, very early on in my career, right? Tommy Hilfiger, Perry Ellis, they didn't have e-commerce. I was the one actually helped them launch e-commerce channels for them, right? I've been a veteran in that. So those are the folks that knew me. They would pay my premium to have me because they knew that I was a known entity. Like when you got me involved, your project launched, and you because it was the right foundation, right? Because of experience and pretty deep scars. And by the way, there is no hair follicle left on my head. It's not by design. I'm not Dwayne the Rock Johnson here. This is not what I'm. Even though it looks good on me, right? There's nothing left there. It's gone. It's all gone because of all this experience. You get some deep scars and you lose some hair follicles. Well, when you're getting pretty deep into your career. So what happened was I was constantly getting DM'd on Twitter or LinkedIn. Hey, if you have a course, I would love to buy it. Right. The thing is, I never believed in courses, so I never came up with a course. I would rather put out the content and stuff like that. Right. So I
Yeah.
said, okay, you know what? Instead of a course, because I want it to be actionable, I want to talk to the founders and I want to work with them. So I created this program called Rapid 2X program, where the ecom founders apply and they get interviewed by my team to see if they're a good fit. And we do reject quite a lot because there are certain either the brand is not right for the program, or the brand could be a perfect fit. It's not the right founder, you know.
Yeah.
And if I tell you, like, it might be a hard decision. Like, I'm sorry, could you work on getting a CEO or somebody else who's going to execute, because you're not it. It's hard to have that conversation with a founder, and sometimes the answer is exactly that. It's a rough thing to hear for a founder, that they are not going to be able to lead the company that they founded. But that's the answer. That's gonna. If Do you care about the brand living longer so that you have a bigger value out of that brand, or do you care about your ego that you're not sitting at the helm, right? Why don't you put the best execution person at the helm, the chief executive officer, who's going to actually take this to the next level? Yeah, you brought it to $1 million. Are you the one who's going to take it to $10 million? If the answer is no, because you don't have that expertise, but you are an incredible product designer, you are an incredible ops person, you know your way around the warehouse to order fulfillment and stuff like that, you have no business running the front end of the business, right? So that's why we actually go through that fit test to make sure that if you're a good fit, then we put you in the program. Now, when they are in the program, what they are actually, they are in a network of 90 plus active brands right now, right? So it's not just me telling them exactly what needs to get done. Those are prescriptions. I actually prescribe to them exactly what they need to do step by step, right? So that's what they go and do it. And on average, an average brand sees about 108% uplift in 12 weeks in the
Wow.
program, right? So that's nothing like it exists. This is not a meta ads agency. I'm not an agency. I'm not a consultant, right? I'm not. I consider myself. This is the words. This is the word that was given to me by venture capitalists and the sharks. They call me an e-commerce advisor, right? Growth
Yeah.
advisor. That's a title that they have given me, right? I advise them on exactly what they need to do, and sometimes, like, there are brands that come to us with hundreds of products in their catalog. Let's follow the 90-10 rule, or 80-20 rule, or 70-30 rule. Where does 70% of your revenue and profit come from? It comes from 30% of your portfolio. Okay. So in that hypothetical 100 100 unique SKUs that you have, or 100 products you have in that catalog, 30 of them are doing the hard work.
Yeah.
And as a business owner, you're neglecting them. Why? Because the crybabies, the 70 other products that are not working, what are you doing throughout your day? You're spending 10 hours a day thinking like, why is this not working? Like, I need to work on better ads. I need to work on better creative. I need to work on better this, better that. No, the best thing to do is for you to kill those 70 products so that you can spend more time on the 30, because those 30, if you even raise it by 10%, you're gonna win big time. That's 70 products that are barely representing 30% of your revenue, or maybe 10% of your revenue, right? That's more likely, right? You're going to be spending all of your time and money, meta ads, and you're going to spend money on photo studio, professional shoot, or you're going to think about strategies like, oh, we should get UGC for this kind of stuff because it's free. No, it's not free. I could have asked my UGC to be increased on the 30% of the catalog that will give me that 10%, 20% increase, right? It's just lopsided. People don't think about where they need to put. They hope and pray that the other 70 would work. No, toss the 70. That's eating up your time, energy, money, everything. In fact, ops cost. If you don't own your own warehouse, you have that inventory somebody sitting in somebody else's warehouse. They're charging you square footage on that thing, right? And plus time decay, right? That inventory is very trendy and very, very well suited for now, right? In March is going to be garbage, right? It's going to go from being costing you this much to costing you even more because nobody wants to pay for that.
It sounds like there's a lot of frustration from you having done this for a while with people doing this wrong, which I love. And I always say, like, anyone who's in business should have a coach, should have an advisor, should have someone who's giving us stuff, because you can often get stuck in the weeds and too busy doing something. And the same with salespeople. Obviously you get a manager, you get a coach or whatever in your work, but you should always try and find someone to do some work for you on that basis outside of it as well. Obviously you've got a lot of experience there, and we're talking about, you mentioned the scars and the hair follicle challenges and stuff like that. And this comes from many years in the industry. I'm just wondering if we can think forward now, Sabir. What kind of changes do you see coming over the horizon for sales or for e-com brands in the next 5 years?
So e-com as an industry has been around for around 25 years now, right? And I believe that even though it's 25 years old, I think it's in its infancy. I mean, it had a growth spurt during the certain world event that we all went through, and we were in our homes, right? Stuck there, right? And it had a growth spurt at that time. I mean, I can tell you that Q4 of 2019 for Amazon sales, right? And Amazon is a good indicator of how e-com is growing. So Q2 of 2020, when we were in the middle of that world event, right? That they actually beat out that quarter. They beat out their holiday sales of 2019. That's how much it grew. That much, right? I mean, the stuff that we saw, the e-commerce sales in 2020, I was anticipating it around 2035, 2039, something like that. So that's how much we accelerated our growth. So that was a good growth spurt at that time. So
Sabir, sorry to interrupt you. Do you think there'll be a correction of the market after COVID has given it a spike, or do you think it'll continue to grow at the same pace?
No, it has already started slowing down, because the thing is that was a ridiculous amount of growth, and then you had a bit more growth in 2021. 2022 it started leveling off.
Okay.
2023 it leveled off. Right, that growth. Now people are concerned that e-commerce is not growing. No, it's because of this ridiculous growth that got moved back. That's why you had that. And right now we're at where we would have been in 2039, right? Or 2040,
Yeah.
right? So 15 years. So yeah, it is leveling off right now, right? But the thing is that growth, that's for major businesses. One of the messages that I want to leave here, because people need to understand context of when these statements are made, right? I don't want somebody who's barely doing $1 million a year in their e-com sales to think that, oh, it's leveling off. That doesn't apply. That's why I'm stuck at 1 million. No, you're stuck at 1 million because you don't have the right operating system to grow, right?
Yeah.
Your problem is not the same problem. When I make that statement about it's leveling off, I'm talking about brands that are doing 100 million or above, over $1 billion in e-com sales. You're now nowhere there. So if you're under 100 million or under $10 million, that statement doesn't apply to you. You have a lot of room to grow, right? We have a lot of humans on Earth, and because of that world event, we have had so many people get educated on buying online. Even your grandmother knows how to order from Uber and to get things delivered, right? Prior to that, didn't know that, right? Your grandmother knows how to do FaceTime with her grandkids, right? Didn't know that prior to that,
Yeah.
right? So there was a lot of technology adoption that happened because of that circumstance that we were all in, the whole humanity was in, right? So the thing is, looking forward, some of the challenges I think is going to be interesting. AI is doing an incredible job, right? I use AI and I actually coach AI in the Rapid 2X program because every entrepreneur is looking for those 10 hands to help them. AI can help them. But the
Yeah.
thing is that you cannot, if you played with AI, this is a typical complaint I hear from entrepreneurs. Oh, I did it, but it's not giving me it's not talking to me in my brand voice or in my voice. Well, did you tell it what your voice is? did you
Yeah.
did you tell it what your no? But it's AI. It's supposed to know. No, AI, think of it like Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory. Really, really, really smart kid, right? Really smart kid, knows everything, just doesn't have context. So if you ask it, maybe there's an ego at play, goes like, oh yeah, absolutely. AI actually answers you this anything you ask. Absolutely, I can help you with that. It's like a freaking intern when you hire them, right?
Yeah.
You go like, can you do that, Jimmy? Oh yeah, absolutely. They go and they burn the barn down, right? Go like, what the hell did you do? Oh, I didn't know that I was not supposed to light up my cigarette next to the gasoline tank, right?
Yeah.
Because they're intelligent, but they don't have the right intelligence to execute that. This is where, in case of AI, you have to do context engineering. What does that mean? That's a nice fancy word, a fancy phrase. It basically means that you have to tell it, give it all of the information that it needs. Who are you as a founder? Why did you come up with this brand? What is this brand about? Give it data extract your data and give it your data and say that, oh, this is my customer data. This is my transaction data. This is my SAMrush data. This is my content from my site. These are the types of blog articles I write. This is how I write my articles. This is my voice. I talk about it. I formally, no, I jokingly talk about it from a casual standpoint. Give it that context, not just say, "Oh, I speak casually." Speaking casually, 15 people will speak casually very differently, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's you have to say what makes it your pattern that makes it different, right? So we do spend time building that. Our preferred platform is Anthropic Claude AI. That's what we use, and right now it's Opus 4.1. It is an incredible model right now. So we use that for that context engineering, for content, for building up these strategies and stuff like that. And every Rapid 2Xer, all 90 plus brands use that and they really speed up their learnings and stuff like that, blog articles and stuff like that. Claude does an incredible job. When it comes to images, then we rely on ChatGPT with at least a minimum of 4.0 model that does a great job of that for image generation. When it comes to video, we use Veo 3 from Gemini, right? But there we're not producing a full-on video ads yet or video content. You have to produce it one small clips at a time, like stock video that you would have used in the
Yeah.
past. Now you could actually do stock videos of your own, personalized to your brand and stuff like that. Those small clips that you could give to a video editor that can take that and stitch it together as part of your story in your ads. So that's how effectively you could use it. I think it's gonna at the pace that AI is going, especially in e-commerce, I think in the next, I believe that in the next maybe 12 to 18 months, I think we will be there, right? So that I think the acceleration of AI embedded in e-commerce, whether it's a proper personalization, right? Meaning that when you go to that a site right now, it's mostly is static. There's some personalization, but I think 12 to 18 months from now is going to be ultra personalized to you specifically. So based on even if it's anonymous traffic, it would know that, okay, you know what, based on the fact that you're coming from Kansas City or you're coming from Paris, you're coming from London, you're coming from Paris, you're coming from Belgium, it can make certain assumptions about that geography, right? And based on that, it could actually personalize the entire site. There is no site, there is no homepage anymore, there's no product page anymore. It's more personalized to you, who you are. I think we are maybe 12 to 18 months out from that.
I love that. I love that. Sabir, conscious of the time, I don't want to take too much of it because I understand that you're a busy guy. The last question we always ask everyone before we let them leave is, you're in the queue at your favorite coffee shop. In front of you, a young gentleman tells you that it's his first day in a sales role or he's starting his business today, whichever one you want to go for. In the time it takes for that barista to put this coffee together for you, what's the best piece of advice you'd give them?
So, as a young person, I would say that have patience with yourself, right? When you're starting out, you think that either it's one of these two things, right? Either you think that you know everything, and the people who are more senior to you, how dumb of them that they don't get this, right? The thing is, there's a reason where there are nuances and what they are telling you, that the reason they're doing it a certain way, right? That comes from experience, right? So that, be patient, learn, keep your ears open. Remember, it's not just ads that you're test, learn, and optimizing. It's you also as a human being, right? Every day, every hour, every minute, it teaches you something, right? Just be open to the learning, right? Even at this age, I'm 52, 53 years old right now, right? I don't think I'm done learning at all, right? I every even today, I listen to about 50 audiobooks a year, right? My contemporaries, they start writing books and go like, oh, you know what? I wrote a book. I don't need to read a book, right? I read. I still watch YouTube videos. I read so much. I consume podcasts like Sales Dojo, right? I consume so much content because the thing is, you might say, Leon, you might say something. You have a guest on your show. That guest says, out of the entire 30 minutes of the show, right? That guest says something for like 5 seconds. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting, right? I jot it down. I have a Notion notebook. I put it in there. Go like, this was said. Let me investigate that. Right. And what do? It's not gone to waste. And I have written it down. What I do is I take it, and my goal is within the next few weeks, I want to actually test that thing out, that theory out. To me, everything is a thesis. It's a theory. Regardless of whether it's Gary Vaynerchuk, Tim Ferriss, Tony Robbins, it doesn't matter who says it, right? To me, it's thesis because in their context, they believe that it's the right thing, right? For me, it may not be applicable. Absolutely not. Or they got a 10x growth, I might get a 1000x growth from that thing. Or it might be a miserable failure. I need to test it on my own thing, on my own brand, on my own business, on my own ad, whatever that thing is, right? As a young person, I think that you should be open to learning and being very patient with yourself. And this is the advice. If I had a time machine and go back to Sabir when he was sitting and helping the vitamin shop out, when it was bankrupt and it was growing, right? Actually, those folks, if who were my teammates, they knew me as a tyrant, right? Because I was young, aggressive, and stuff, and I had launched. I had a lot of accolades to be like that, but as a human being, you should not be, right? You should not be doing that. And actually, we had a 20-year anniversary dinner together, and when they met me again, still in their minds, I was that person. But when I started talking, I'm like, you mellowed out over time. What happened? I said, I just learned that there are certain things that it doesn't make sense for me to do anymore, right? And it's just something I learned, right? So I think that even though that ego, it was a good thing for me at that time, it was very harmful and damaging to others around me, right? And which made people, I thought it was an accolade to make people cry, right? And it was not. It was not a. It was a horrible thing. That was severe at 22, 23, 24, right? Not a good thing, right? So
Not
that was
necessarily,
damaging.
not necessarily a bad thing though, because we all have to learn. So that advice is be patient, which I absolutely love. Always be learning and treat everything as a thesis. Excellent
Yep.
advice. And if anyone's listening, you should definitely do that. Sabir, so much stuff written down, so many notes. I'm looking forward to listening back to this episode again and trying to learn some more stuff from it. Before we let you go, what's the best place again for people to catch you? Do you want to share that link for us again?
Sure. Growthbysabir.com /sales dojo.
Good man. If you want to find out some more about the Sales Dojo, try www.salesdojo.com. If you want to find out some more about Chris, it's 6thstore.com. Sabir is giving you that link. Check him out on there. And if you want to share this post and share this, please do. If you've learned anything, the best thing for you to do would be to share this with someone else. This will embed it in your brain and it'll also help us to spread the love. Have a great day.